Make a new name for yourself. Look at what has happened to Michael Perry. You know, one of our big stars here, the King of Violence. He titles himself, and you know he's had such a rise in the sport. Now he's up against you know, a little dweeb of a thing in a fight this weekend that we're all rooting for him.
Don't aspire to be, you know, one of these like YouTuber fighters.
Right.
Aspire for world titles. Aspire for Olympic.
That's him now. He's super jacked.
He looks like a bodybuilder.
See, that's what he looks like now. He's still jacked. Still looks great. He looks good though.
Whoa.
He looks so old now.
He looks different.
Make a new name for yourself and take a look at what has happened to Michael Perry. He is one of our biggest stars here, the King of Violence, and he has risen so high in the sport that we are all rooting for him in a fight this weekend. He looks like a bodybuilder, and that's what he looks like now. He's still jacked, and he still looks great, but whoa, he looks so old now.
And like, there's something about like calling somebody out, which you immediately respect them a little bit more, like willing to put yourself out there for a fight.
He called out Conor McGregor too.
That's what Jake's doing.
Yeah.
That kid is a master troll, dude. He's a master creating hype. Like, dude, if I'm Dana White, I'm praying that this guy can actually.
A Jake Paul Amanda Nunes boxing match.
That's because Dana said, maybe I'll let Amanda Nunes.
I think people are coming around. I say, if this kid was not a YouTuber, if he wasn't some guy that you knew from the time he was like 16 years old on YouTube, and you just saw him box, and you saw him knock out former UFC champions, you saw him beat legitimate boxers, or beat athletes, and beat a bunch of MMA fighters, you'd go, this kid can fight. He knows how to fight. It's not, nothing he's doing looks wrong. He's not like sticking his head straight up in the air and winging punches with his eyes closed. He's fighting like highly promotable, like really good at selling fights. You'd be like, this kid's the future.
In a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Joe Rogan, who is known for his candid opinions and in-depth knowledge of MMA, shared his thoughts on how the fight could unfold, analyzing both fighter strengths and weaknesses. And like, there's something about like calling somebody out which you immediately respect him a little bit more, like willing to put yourself out there for a fight. He called out Conor McGregor to Jake. That's Jack. That's what Jake's doing. That kid is a master troll, dude.
I don't know if Conor's ever going to fight again.
What's happening with his the civil suit? He's being dropped by all his companies or something?
Yeah, you know, I don't know the real details of that case, but the reality is that guy's partying, and he's partying real hard.
Dude, some of his interviews, you can tell he is out of it. Have you seen the Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor interview for Roadhouse? And he's just tweaking the whole time?
He's
and
tweaking?
Jake's just like...
You know, it's funny. Shane Gillis has a great bit about Conor McGregor in Roadhouse. He goes, Conor McGregor basically played a cooked out Conor McGregor in Roadhouse.
He's a master creating hype like. Dude, if I'm Dana White, I'm praying that this guy can actually a Jake Paul Amanda Nunes boxing match that CU Dana said, maybe I'll let Amanda Nunes knock him out. Now I think people are coming around. I say, if this kid was not a YouTuber, if he wasn't some guy that you knew from the time he was like 16 years old on YouTube, and you just saw him box, and you saw him knock out former UFC champions, you saw him beat legitimate boxers.
Perhaps the most important fight of your career. Give us your thoughts on this rematch. He should have killed me when he had the chance, because now I'm back, and I'm going to kill you and your whole fucking team. You and them kid. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants. That's what I dreamed into reality.
Or beat athletes and beat a bunch of MMA fighters, you go, this kid can fight. He knows how to fight. It's not nothing he's doing looks wrong. He's not like sticking his head straight up in the air and winging punches with his eyes closed. He's fighting well. He looks good. And if he was just an up-and-coming boxer that was this exciting, like highly promotable, like really good at selling fights, he'd be like, this kid's the future. However, one recent topic that has sparked considerable conversation is his analysis of Conor McGregor's career trajectory, particularly how McGregor's self-destructive behavior contributed to his decline as a fighter in a recent.
I'm your daddy, eh? Call me Jose Senior.
When we do,
Tell him I'm his daddy. Tell him I'm his daddy.
I really don't care. Like, he
Tell
can
him I'm
do
his
whatever
daddy.
he wants, and I'll continue to be the champion.
He said, tell him he's his daddy.
Tell him I
he's
said
not.
I am his daddy.
Ele tá falando que ele é seu pai.
Nunca vai ser.
Sit on my lap.
Nunca vai ser. Tá mais fácil.
Sit on my lap.
Eu domino.
Sit on my lap.
What I'm saying is this. When you knock a champion who's been that dominant and that good for 10 years out in 14 seconds,
13.
there is a question, which is, was that in some ways
Episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan attributed McGregor's downfall to a combination of money, fame, and the self-destructive tendencies that came with them.
Peaks, which is Dylan Dennis is a professional fighter. He's a professional fighter. He jumps out, he takes a swing at him. They're screaming, and Dylan's like, "F you," and he's like, "F you," and there's a bunch of people get involved, and then a bunch of other people jump in. The whole thing was nuts. But the idea that we should be shocked after him throwing a dolly at a bus because Khabib's on the bus, those Russians don't fucking play like that, man.
Yeah.
This
Did
is,
you see the videos afterwards when Dagestan where they're shooting off the Uzis?
Woman who accused the mixed martial arts fighter Conor McGregor of raping her in a hotel in Dublin 6 years ago has won a civil case against him. The jury has found McGregor liable and ordered him to pay Nikita Hand €250,000 in damages.
I don't know if Conor is ever going to fight again. What's happening with his the civil suit, he's being dropped by all his companies or something. Yeah, I don't know the real details of that case, but the reality is that guy's partying, and he's partying real hard, dude, some of his interviews. You can tell he is out of it.
UFC fighter Conor McGregor has been accused of sexually assaulting a woman after an NBA basketball game in Miami earlier this month. A legal letter outlining the allegations was sent to Mr. McGregor and seen by BBC News. It says the alleged assault took place in a bathroom at an arena in Miami. The woman's lawyer said she'd been watching Game 4 of the finals on Friday the 9th of June before the alleged incident happened. She alleged the woman was forced into a men's bathroom by security guards from the NBA and Miami Heat before being violently assaulted by Mr. McGregor. A lawyer representing Mr. McGregor said, "The allegations are false. Mr. McGregor will not be intimidated." Both the City of Miami Police and the Miami Heat, which hosted the NBA Finals game, say that they are conducting investigations.
Chandler, you said good match for Conor. Is that ever happening? Or
I don't know if Conor's ever going to fight again.
what's happening with his he just got like the civil suit, or whatever, and he's being dropped by all his companies or something.
Yeah. I don't know the real details of that case. I know his version of it and her version of it and what played out in the court. But the reality is that guy's partying, and he's partying real hard. And he talked about it in the court case. He's talking about cocaine. Like that was the whole thing, that we were all doing cocaine.
Have you seen the Jake Hall and Conor interview for Roadhouse? And he's just tweaking the whole time. Jake's just like, it's funny. Shane Gillis has a great bit about Conor McGregor. In Roadhouse, he goes, Conor McGregor basically played and out Conor McGregor. In Roadhouse, to understand the magnitude of Joe Rogan's critique, it's important to reflect on Conor McGregor's rise to the top.
How much money could you reasonably walk out of this fight with?
350 million.
$350 million.
Yes.
Floyd's not ready for this. Much respect to Floyd, he's a solid businessman. What he has been able to do, he is a full animal at what he has been able to do. But as far as real fighting, as far as true, pure, unreal combat, Floyd don't want none of this. I think he does not want none of this. People won't even ask him. He wants it under boxing rules. He wants a boxing match. He doesn't want to fight. So I want to respect everyone in here. I love everyone is. Give Floyd a shout time, man. Come.
When McGregor entered the UFC, he was a force to be reckoned with, known for his brash personality and charismatic self-promotion. McGregor quickly established himself as a fan favorite. However, it wasn't just his personality that captivated the world. His performance inside the octagon solidified his place in MMA history.
I think he's like any other young up-and-coming boxer. It's just everybody dismisses him because he's a YouTuber.
For sure. It's easy to dismiss him, but I was there when he knocked out Tyron, and I was like, man, I'm done with this kid. I never wanted to corner another fight in my life, man. I was like, yo, he just knocked my boy flat out on his face, man. I was heartbroken.
Bro, he has power. It's real power.
Perhaps the most significant fight of your career. Tell us what you think about this rematch. He should have killed me when he had the chance, because now I'm back, and I'm going to kill you and your entire team. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart that I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize to everyone.
Paul wasn't Jake Paul. If he wasn't this YouTube guy, he was just a boxer. And you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever. Knock him out with one punch like that. You're like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's for real. Because nothing about watching him fight screams like he's in over his head. If it wasn't that big YouTube star, you'd be like, that dude's got dynamite.
It is, but I see a lot of people talking funny stuff about like the leg kick didn't knock him out. What happened? So DC says in the detailed breakdown, I kick Conor's calf and Conor steps back and his leg kind of goes. and DC says, well, that's the leg kick that, hurt his leg or whatever. But when he went after that leg kick, he kind of reached down to grab the foot and threw an uppercut. And I was switch stance, so I threw a cross from my backhand that clipped him good. And that's when he took the step back and was hurt. I think that's a detail people are missing. That right hand.
Well, you landed a lot of solid shots in that fight, but there's no doubt that leg kick was that right leg up.
Let me show y'all proof that Conor McGregor did, in fact, injure the leg that he broke in the third Dustin Poirier fight 3 years ago, just weeks before their bout. Right here, drilling kicks over and over again. It was already taped up before that, and everyone was like, oh, he heard it off of a Dustin Poirier check. Y'all don't know shit about MMA. He even posted about this after the
The double champ does what he wants, and that's what I dreamed into reality. It looks good. One of the pivotal moments in McGregor's career was in 2015, when he defeated the legendary Jose Aldo in just 13 seconds to win the UFC Featherweight Championship. His rapid ascent to the top was followed by his historic victory at UFC 205 in 2016.
I really want is Conor. I'll put the nail in his casket.
Ideally, if you could have it your way, is it Nate, Tommy, Conor? Is KSI anywhere in that equation?
Well, if KSI fights Tommy, he's going to get knocked out.
Yep.
I guess it's all kind of in the air. Time will tell.
Jake Paul made the call-out video. He disrespected Conor McGregor. Here's the mistake that everybody's making about Jake Paul. Because I put this on my Twitter account. I said Jake Paul's going to finish Askren in 30 seconds. And everyone's like, whoa, Askren's a fighter, blah, blah, this crap. I knew Jake Paul would smoke him because Jake Paul is the person I used to be. He's a cocky, arrogant young man who's training his ass off. You think Jake Paul isn't training? They're like, oh, he's just a YouTuber. He's training with Canelo and Ryan Garcia. The guy is training his ass off. He's not running his mouth to people without training. He's getting in there to
where he became the first fighter in UFC history to hold 2 titles in different weight classes simultaneously. It seemed like nothing could stop him, and he was on the verge of becoming the greatest fighter in MMA history.
I'm sorry to have to ask you this, but I know you probably signed an NDA, but blink twice if that Jake Paul fight was set up.
Blink twice.
I know you probably
I don't never blink because I got these liberty eyes. I don't need much air, you know what I mean, to keep them open. A lot of people wonder that, but think about this. If I say, Rampage, pay you $2 million, right? Let this dude beat you, what you gonna do? You're gonna feel disrespected, number one.
Yeah.
Right? That ain't enough money.
Yeah.
But I got paid in the Jake fights. For me to do that, I gotta be willing to walk away for good, and it gotta set me up for a while, at least not for life, but something like 20-something million where I can invest it and fall off in the shade, because that's what you would have to do. Would I do something like that? You would have to know me to know I'm too solid of a guy to even have somebody walk to me and ask me.
Yeah.
What happened to me is what was going to happen to him had he dropped those hands.
For me, just as a spectator, as a media guy, as a fan as well, like to see his UFC run end at the Apex with no one there, with no fanfare, with no video package, with no honoring, with no Hall of Fame, with no nothing, put me down. It made me feel very sad. I'm wondering, as someone who looked up to him, how you felt about that.
I don't get why you're not in the Hall of Fame.
I mean,
I agree,
already talked to you about that. That's not important for me because...
But it's important for everyone
Yeah,
around
but there's guys who retired years and years after you that got put in there.
Yeah,
and you're more legendary.